Hello, second graders. This is Mrs. Corner. We are going to be learning today about weather, more about weather. And today we're going to be learning more specifically about wind. Again, I'm so glad you're here. We talked yesterday about the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is a small little blanket of air that surrounds the earth. It's just a small one. If you go too high up into the air, you're no longer in the atmosphere and you don't have any oxygen to breathe. So you have to have air masks. Remember that the blanket of air that surrounds the earth, that's atmosphere. Now you try to say it back. Atmosphere is good. The blanket of air that surrounds the earth. Way to go. The blanket of air that surrounds the earth. So when the people go up in these spaceships, they don't have air. They have to have a spacesuit. They don't even have gravity because they're not in the atmosphere anymore. They're on the globe. Remember, you can see the atmosphere is where all the weather happens. And the weather is changing all the time in the atmosphere. And one of the big things that happens in the atmosphere is the force of air moving, which is called wind. Inside the atmosphere, the weather is changing all the time. Our learning target today is that you will be able to explain what wind is, and you will also be able to explain how hard it is blowing, how much force it has based on the Beaufort scale. Let's think about wind for a minute. I'll kind of hover my mouse around. Wind is the air that is moving. It is the force with which the air is moving. And think about the second picture. Wind can cause destruction. Wind can blow things over that cause problems. Wind can create huge waves. Wind can really cause a lot of trouble. And wind can be harnessed and used to help the planet Earth. We can use power from the wind. So it's got harmful properties or things that could happen because of wind, and great things. Wind. Now I'm going to just teach you a little chant to help you understand what wind is. And I hope that you will teach it to your brothers or sisters or stuffed animals or someone at your house. I'm going to say the first sentence and then I want you to repeat it, okay? The sun heats up the air. Heats up the air. The hot air rises. The hot air rises and swoosh and swoosh. In comes the cold air to take its place. And that is wind. We'll do it one more time. The sun, you can make a sun with your hands. The sun, say, the sun heats up the air, heats up the air. The hot air rises, the hot air rises. Your hands up high. And swoosh, and swoosh. In comes the cold air to take its place. And that is wind. Great job. So that hot air rises and that cold air comes in, and that cold air moving is wind. I'm going to tell you a little story about Sir Francis Beaufort. He was living a long, long time ago, way back in the 1700s, and he was an old sailor guy, sailed the mighty seas. He was bringing spices and wonderful things on these merchant ships. Actually, when he was 15, he was shipwrecked and he almost starved to death due to some faulty charts, which meant the charts were not done very well. And he made it his life goal to make sure that people were educated and that charts were developed to keep people safe at the sea, on the sea. And he created what's called the Beaufort Scale. He rose all the way from being just a helper on those ships, going up all through all the Navy commands to ending up as the captain of In His Majesty's Way. I was reading that because I didn't memorize it. He created the Beaufort Scale then, which is a scale that will talk about the force of the wind, how much wind is blowing, because he wanted his fellow sailors to be safe out at sea. He wanted to be able to communicate how strong the winds were. It's an actual picture of him. Oh, there he goes. Sir Francis Beaufort. Looks kind of like a distinguished old guy, smart guy. But We get to talk about the Beaufort Scale today and about how wind can affect us. We're going to talk about each one, and after you're done listening to this video, you're going to actually see some of my second graders and Miss Toon second graders acting it out for you as well. So follow along with me. One means, or a 0 or 1 means that the smoke is going straight up out of a chimney. A 2 means that it's just drifting off to the side, kind of like the picture on the chart. A 3, you can look at the flag right there. The flags are just starting to flap. So you put your fingers up, I'll do right on the screen, and make your fingers wave like a flag. A 4 is where a leaf or maybe a piece of paper on the ground could get picked up by the wind and move. A 5 would be the small tree would sway. A 6 would be, I have to remember we don't have the same chart here. Maybe we'll learn that on with the kids on another video. A 7, I remember. Oh no, a 6 is here. I remember. It's an umbrella that was nice and fine, but then it got caught by the wind and whoop, turned inside out. That's a 6, and you notice that I used 6 fingers to show you that. 6. A 7 is 5 and a 2, and I just put my hands forward. Oh, it would get really hard to walk if there was a 7, number 7 on the Beaufort Scale wind force. And 8 is the tree that we had, and then the little branches might fly away. So I have 5 for the tree and 3 blow away. So little branches might fall right off of a tree. 9 would be a rooftop, and then wow, the shingles are starting to go. On these pictures, it actually shows that on the 7, the shingles started going. But the way that we've learned it is that a rooftop, shingles would really be flying off then. A 10 would be that beautiful tree that we love, would come up and out of the ground and be uprooted. So that's my sad one. We would lose a tree. Well, they're all sad. And 11 would be a circle arm. That's a tornado or a hurricane. And a 12 would be all your fingers just crazy, widespread destruction. You're going to get to do those again with your friends on the video on the second slide, so be sure to play that. So we're going to review what we've learned about weather so far. Atmosphere is the blanket of air that surrounds the earth. Temperature can be hot or cold, and it's measured with a thermometer. Clouds are droplets of water in the atmosphere clinging to a particle of dust. And we learned cumulus, cotton ball. We learned seriously wispy, the cirrus clouds. We learned the stratus clouds straddle the atmosphere. They're all, if you have a big cloudy day, those are the stratus clouds. And the stormy ones are cumulonimbus. And today, down in the center, we learned wind is air in motion. Then it can be very destructive, or it can be harnessed for good. And it can be quite light, just a breezy day, or very strong. And wind can be harnessed, like I said, harnessed for good. So thanks for listening. Be sure to watch your friends doing the Beaufort Scale. And don't forget to go on Seesaw in the yellow folder and find your assignment for today. You're going to be a little meteorologist, and you're going to make some notes about the weather and turn those in. Have a great day.